Welcome back everybody to another video. Today I'm going to finish up the Blue Evo for the season. I'm going to change the drivetrain fluids, the trans, the transfer case, and the rear end. And we're going to do a quick string alignment to get the car driving. And let's get to it. Before you do anything else, when you're doing these differentials, this 24mm nut is a huge itch to get off if you don't loosen the fill plug first. So the first thing I do is I change the fill plug. I take the fill plug and I just loosen it like so. And then that's a 17, by the way. And then you go ahead and loosen this 24 right here, which this is going to be pretty tight, so I like to use a jack handle to loosen it. And with the jack handle, it makes easy work of that. So I'm going to go ahead and go grab a drip pan so we can drain the transfer case, and then I'm going to go ahead and drain the trans and the rear end. Now the fill plug in the back is actually a 24, so, and you can't really get to it without a box end, but it's the same deal. Make sure the fill plug is loose, and then you can remove the drain, which the drain plug is directly underneath it. So yeah, they get pretty tight, as you can tell with the fluid that's coming out of the car. I don't let them sit there long. I replace the fluid once a year before I take the car out for the summer. I go ahead and replace the fluid, and they come out every year this color. There was only one time where they were dark, is when I first bought the car, but I don't let them get bad. That's not my way of doing things. So I don't track this car a lot. It's more of a street car. But I do take it on track sprints, and I take it to the drag strip a lot. So the drivetrain, I try to, it's all stock. The car makes like 420 wheel horsepower and like, you know, mid 300s torque. So it's pretty safe for a stock Evo drivetrain, but nonetheless it's a stock Evo drivetrain. So I take care of the driveline components. Just, I don't want to risk that. Sooner or later I'll get it all built. You know, it has 160,000 miles, but for now we change the fluid every year. We go have fun with it for the summer, put it away, and then change the fluid again the next year. And I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. This is the transfer case, this is the trans, and this is the rear end. The transfer case is just a plug. It doesn't have a magnet like the trans and the rear end does, but it's good to clean it up anyway. There's a little magnet in there. There's not a lot of magnets right there. I don't know if you can see. There's not a lot of shavings coming out of the transfer case, which is good. Like I said, I replace the fluid so often. You know, it's 15,000 miles for the factory. I think it's 30 for the factory. Most people replace at 15. I replace it like every 8 because that's all I put on it every year. That's a max of 8,000 miles. This is the trans. The trans will typically have more shavings, mainly because you're moving a lot of stuff in there. This transmission has 160-something thousand miles, or 158,000 miles on it. So, you know, at some point we're going to have to get this built, send it to Shep or something. And this is the rear end. The rear end will also have some shavings in it. So you just clean these drain plugs out and before you put them back in the car. And then for the fluids, obviously we use Drivetrain for our rear end and our transfer case, and then we'll use this Redline 75 140 NS for the trans. You could also use Diaqueen, I guess, the manual trans fluid, not this SAE 90. It's going to be a manual trans fluid that you're going to use. But you can use that. You can use Synchromesh. For this particular car, this Redline stuff really works. It gives me real buttery, smooth shifts at the drag strip, so I run them, you know, and like I said, every year I replace them. So we're gonna go ahead, the driveline should be drained out enough. We're gonna put the fluid in, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our alignment. Okay guys, so as Miguel DSM would say, shout out. I'm putting you guys on a GoPro here. I'm pumping the SAE 90 into the transfer case. You gotta be really slow here because it's really, really easy to underfill this transfer case. So what I do is I fill about half a quart in with the car level, and then I'll raise the rear all the way up on the jack, and then I'll pump some more in as much as I can there. Jack's transmission says you want to put at least a quart in. I've done this a lot, and it's been really impossible for me to ever put a full quart in it. But that's what Jack's transmission wants to do, so that's what I try to do. I usually get to about 8/10 of a quart, and I can't fill it anymore. So what I do is I'll drive it, and then I'll put it back in the air and refill it again. But it seems like from the factory it says half a quart should be good, but like I said, I end up trying to put a little more in there because the problems with these transfer cases are they tend to get underfilled, and then you end up getting them hot, and that's what wears the pinion out. So what I do is when I pump this stuff in, I pump it real slow, as you can see, like that. And I just kind of watch how much is dripping out of it. You'll know when it starts dripping a lot more often that it's filled, but I'll let it kind of sit and let all that fluid settle in the bottom of the transfer case. So once this is done, we can move on to the trans. So right now, let me finish this, and then I'll keep you on the GoPro to fill the transmission. The transmission is a little bit more straightforward. You just stick 3 quarts of whatever gear lube you want to use in there. And I actually lower the rear when I do the trans. I just put 3 in there, and that seems to work. So let me finish the transfer case, and then we'll move on to the transmission. Now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the garage so I can move the car to the middle, and we can align the wheels to make sure we can drive it without eating the tires. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the garage so that I can move the car, and then we'll get to aligning it. Okay, so now we got the car in the center of the garage. We got it on the dollies. The dollies do 2 things. It helps
raise the car up so I can get under it to adjust everything. And it also lets me adjust it. So basically it makes the wheels mobile, which is good because if you have to adjust it, it's gonna have to move. So this way of aligning it is kind of crude, but it's worked for me in the past on the daily. It's by no means the end-all be-all of an alignment. You should still probably take it somewhere to at least check it after you do this. But basically you do 2 pieces of string, 4 jack stands, and you put it on the side of the car. And then the most important part is to know if the track width of the car is equal front to back. Now a CT9A Evo is equal front to back. So as long as you're not using a spacer up front, like if you use a RPF1 with a plus 38, it needs a 25 millimeter up front to clear the brakes, you won't be able to do this check, okay? You won't be able to align it this way. But I run a square setup, 9.5 plus 20 all around, and I have center cap. So this is how I get the car on a base alignment until I get it to an actual alignment shop. So I'm gonna go ahead, set this all up, and then I'll bring you guys back in and explain a couple things. So we got our jack stands and string up on the car, same on this side. The first thing you really actually want to do is before you put all this stuff permanently, set it up, you want to make sure that the steering wheel is straight. So as of right now, this steering wheel is not straight. So we just kind of eyeball it. Lower the 2 front windows, that way you can reach it. Okay. All right, so now we raise this so that it's level. I just raise them both the same amount. Dear Lord, you're gonna see what kind of a mess my toolbox is. That's what happens when you work on cars. Your toolbox looks like a war zone. This is not good. Cannot find our tape measure here. It'd be easier to find if it wasn't so messy, huh? It's usually over here. Oh, the other thing too is you want to get a camber gauge. You want to check the camber before you even mess with the toe. So we turn this on. Ooh, okay. And I think it's pretty level. Okay. So now we're gonna check. We're gonna check the camber here, which I don't know if you can see, but on this side it looks like I have okay, -2 degrees. Okay, then on this side I see -2.5 degrees. So there's 2 ways to adjust the camber. It's going to be the strut bolts or the camber plate. We're about 1/2 degree off, so I think I'm going to use the camber plate. Nonetheless, this camber gauge comes in handy when it comes for that stuff. So let's now set it up. Gotta look for our... Where the heck did my tape measure go? Tape measure? Tape measure? Oh, it's right there. Okay, so first I go off the rear and I go from the center cap to the string. I like it a little closer than this. It's just a lot better to stay like under the 10 centimeter, just because that way I'm not confused. So I set that. So this is at 100 millimeters right now. Okay. So then we'll set the front up the same way, hopefully. All right, what's the front say? We're just a little over 10 centimeters and we're running out of room. So we'll just pull this out a little bit. Okay. Actually, we can go off that 4-inch mark. Probably. Four inches. And this side, it's still too much. Bring this out. Where are we at? I'm gonna go. All right, so that's 110 millimeters, 11 centimeters is gonna be our reference here. Just bump it a little. Okay, so there's our 11 centimeter reference. I don't know if you can see that. And then here is also an 11 centimeter reference. So as you adjust things, you're gonna keep double checking the string, keep double checking the reference. And that way you get a real accurate, well, accurate for the string at least. Okay, so we got that side set up. We're gonna set it up on this side, and then after, you know, we're gonna set the camber, and then our alignment should be good for a base. Once you get the string set up with your reference point, which is the center cap, you're gonna wanna check the rear first. So what I do is I'll double check my reference on both sides of the car. Okay, 11 centimeters. And then in the rear, you're gonna check one end of the wheel, which right now is 30 millimeters on the back end, and it is 31 on the front end. That means this has a 1 millimeter toe in, which a CT9A Evo, the spec is 3 plus or minus 2 of toe in the rear. And then you'll do the same thing on this side. Check your reference. Okay, we're a little off there. We didn't touch the rear suspension, so the camber is still where we left it before, which was -3. So I don't have to check that. I didn't take it apart. So there's our reference, 11 centimeters. And then double check the reference on the front, which is just a little over 11 centimeters, which is 110 millimeters, okay? All right. There's our 11. Check this side. We are at 32 and 31. So that means, wait, hold on. 11, okay, all right. We have to reset this just a little bit. Okay. Okay. All right, recheck that. So this is, okay. This is at 31. Okay. And this is at 31. We have 0 toe in on this wheel, which is good because we want either 3 millimeters toe in plus or minus, right? So the rears are good. We've got a good base point in the rear for the toe. Yeah, actually this is like more like 30 than anything. And this is 31. So we got 1 millimeter toe in both sides, which, like I said, this is pretty crude. You're still gonna wanna, I'm still gonna put it on the rack, but at least this way I'll be able to drive it. Okay, so now in the front, like I said, our camber is a little off. So the trick to this is you want to put that side of the car kind of in the air. My son thinks he's a mechanic as well. So we're gonna take this jack, and we're just gonna go up a little just to relieve some weight here. And this way we can set the camber how we need to set it. Okay, can't see that. Let's get our flashlight. Okay, so it looks like I got minus 2.2 degrees here. And I got minus 2.5 degrees on this one. Actually, let's flip it over this way because that's how we measured it on that side. And see. 2.3. Okay. I'd say we're pretty close on the camber. So I'm going to go ahead and just give the passenger side a little bump. Okay, so we got our camber set. We're gonna make sure the camber plate is tight. Okay, which if you look at how the wheels look, just to the naked eye, the camber looks pretty even. If you just look, once we set the toe, yeah, I think we'll be okay. Okay, so now, get your handy dandy tape measure back out and make sure your reference line is the same, which ours moved on this side, probably because we jacked the car up. Probably moved a little bit. Uh-oh. So I'm gonna go ahead, bring it over. Okay. So here's my reference line is 11 centimeters. Okay. And on the back is also 11 centimeters. Okay. Double check that. Okay. Right here I am at 24, and this is damn near 40, 36. So we'll take our, I believe that's a 22 and a 13. We'll go ahead and grab our blanket. And we're gonna go ahead and change our toe settings. Okay, so the way the toe is on the tie rod, you want to tighten it, which means you want to bring the tie rod end in to bring the toe out. Okay, and it's going to be a lot of turns. It takes a little bit. It's got new tie rod ends and inner tie rod, so this will make easy work for us. Okay, you'll see the tire move as you move the inner. So, okay, let's go ahead and check that. I know it gets comfortable laying down there, but don't get too comfortable because you gotta check your reference like always. 11 centimeters. 11 centimeters. And now we check the ends of the wheel, which is right now is 34. Looks like 30. And this one looks like 30. Oh, looks like we're right where we want to be. Okay, so now that you got it straight, which it looks pretty good, you're gonna tighten the tie rod, jam nut, and then go to the other side, which I'm gonna do the other side on a time lapse, and then I'll come back and let you guys know how it looks. Well, it's nighttime. What kind of video would it be if I didn't start in the daytime and then end at night, right? Well, everything's aligned. You know, as far as the string method goes, we're gonna go ahead and schedule it to get on an alignment rack soon here. I'm gonna get it off this setup, go for a little drive. Haven't driven in all winter, so I'm gonna do that. But as for you guys, that's all the time I got for you. So I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace. Missed you, baby. All winter.